Namaste and welcome, everyone. This is a very bittersweet moment because this is the last lecture at the 2024 Maharishi Parashara Conference. But I'm very excited about our presenter, Abhishek Kumar, who's presenting on the very progressive and scientific topic of quantum superposition and potential realities in astrological prediction. Mr. Abhishek Kumar is a distinguished professional with extensive experience across various industries, including rail, power, and defense in regions such as Southeast Asia, Australia, and Africa, currently serving as a program coordinator with the utility in Sydney, Australia. He has demonstrated exceptional leadership and project management skills throughout his career. His journey into the realm of astrology was inspired by his grandfather, a respected astrologer, and this passion led him to pursue formal education in traditional astrology at the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Institute of Astrology in Delhi. As the host of the popular YouTube series Unlocking Stars with Abhishek, he delves into various astrological topics presented in the Brihat Parashara Shastra, sharing his profound knowledge with the wide audience. His expertise has earned him invitations to speak on numerous platforms, including 98.5 FM Sydney Radio, the Federation of Astrology Australia, and several international conferences. Through his engaging presentations and deep understanding of astrological principles, Abhishek has made a significant impact on the astrological community. In 2024, Abhishek founded the International Vedic Astrological Research Center, the IVARC. The center aims to preserve and advance the ancient wisdom of Vedic astrology by integrating it with modern scientific disciplines. The IVARC is dedicated to providing accurate, insightful, and transformative astrological services and education, enriching the quality of life for individuals and communities through the scientific and spiritual principles of Vedic astrology. It's such a pleasure to have you here, Abhishek. Namaste.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for your lecture. If you need me at any point, I'll be here, and the floor is yours, kind sir.
Thank you. I'm just sharing my screen. You guys can see my screen. Just say yes in the chat box.
Yes.
Thank you, Shanati ji. Welcome everyone. In the last lecture of this great conference, I would say great conference, Maharishi Parashara Conference 2024. Almost most of the lecture I personally watched. So exciting. And I would like to congratulate Chanati for this great, wonderful job he did. The energy he bring in here in the conference, that was really, really appreciable. So I'm just taking you through this lecture, quantum superposition and potential realities in astrological predictions. Few minutes back, Chanati ji gave my brief bio, so you are aware of that one. I would say only one line. I'm an engineer by qualification and astrologer by blessings, and blessings from the Guru Parampara. So before entering into this great conversation, where we are highlighting the scientific temperament in astrology and understanding the background, scientific background of this great divine wisdom, just remembering, just praying, Adi Guru, Guru of the Guru, Lord of the Lord, Sri Mahadev. Let's pray together. Vande Deva Umapatim Surgurum Vande Jagat Karanam वन्दे पन्नगभूषणं मृगधरं च वरदम् वन्दे पशूनां पतिम् वन्दे सूर्यशशाङ्कवह्निनयनं वन्दे मुकुन्दप्रियं वन्दे भक्तजनाश्रये च वरदम् वन्दे शिवं शङ्करं वन्दे शिवं शङ्करं वन्दे शिवं शङ्करम् Jai Gurudev, Har Har Mahadev. That can be a great start after paying our humble and respectful prayer in the lotus feet of Adi Guru, who is the source and only source of the Gyan Parampara. So let's come. Just introducing with this topic first briefly, then I will give you the plan for this course. So I'm just taking you through the quantum superposition, the new technique basically that is based on my research published in International Journal of Advanced Vedic Studies, a review on Kalpura Siddhant through quantum mechanical lens. So quantum superposition plays a very vital role in astrological predictions. In order to, you have to pick the possibilities. What are the possibilities? So during the predictive business, when you are doing the phalades, being an astrologer, then how you will apply the principle of superposition, because so many variables are working at the same time. So that will give you the teeth, the accuracy in the prediction. But for that one, we need to understand first, if astrology got some scientific background, is astrology is really science? Because the people from the other side, so-called scientific communities, ill-informed scientific communities, they are sometimes or most of the times labeling this divine wisdom, this divine ancient science as a pseudo-science. So we are going to investigate that one. So I will take you through to find the answers of this question together. Why science discredit astrology? First start from the very beginning. Then try to understand what are the implications of astrology being science. And going more deeper, refining the concept. How can astrology be scientifically explained? We have to go up to the quantum level. Is astrology the science of quantum world? That we will investigate. How we can explain this scientifically? And what about the inherent probabilistic factor in astrology? If we are accepting the probability as a branch of pure mathematics and science, classical science, so here the same drama is happening. So that we will also investigate together. And then in the end, I will take you to get the answer of this question, how to get into the potential realities through applying the quantum superpositions. So we are together. I will take questions in the end of this lecture, but you are feel free to put your questions in the chat box. So let's come. The course outline. First of all, I'm just giving you the flow of this lecture. I have divided this one in 4 chapters. So in the very first chapter, I'll go and see the other side, what scientific communities are saying, why they are discrediting, what are their point of views. Listen to them first. Try to understand them first. In the very first chapter that I labeled as astrology versus science. In the first chapter, it's astrology versus science, but after that, in the end, both becomes one. And in the second chapter, when we will discuss the scientific temperament integrated, inbuilt in the astrology, then we will prove that one astrology is a science. In the third chapter, going more deeper, more deep inside, if it is a science, then at what level we have to get into, then I will come up with a terminology that I call quantum astrology, applying quantum mechanics in the astrology, and that can help us. Where classical physics fail, quantum mechanics is coming to explain. So that will be the third chapter. And in the fourth chapter, when we are fully ready to get into the quantum astrology, then I will discuss the quantum superposition and the potential realities in the astrological predictions. So that's the course outline. So we'll go like that. I hope it's clear. So let's come. Let's start with some general misconception, I would say, at this moment. One of the greatest of the great yogi from India, Swami Vivekananda, in one of his speech, he came up with this quotation like astrology and all these mystical things are generally signs of a weak mind. In fact, he was focusing on the karma theory more, but our astrology is based on the karma theory only. But that quotation from such a big guru is building a general misconception around astrology being a pseudoscience. And the great Jewish philosopher Moses ben Mammon, he even came and he declared astrology is a disease, not a science. And William Shakespeare, in one of his drama, through one of his characters, he was saying, the fault is not in our stars, but in ourselves. So these things, this is giving a misconception, like it seems like it's like a pseudoscience. Is astrology science or not? So that's the problem. So that is the start of very first chapter, astrology versus science. In this chapter, we'll go through and discuss why science discredits astrology. That will come up. How old astrology is, how old Jyotish is. It's as old as the civilization. When civilization starts, human being very curiously looking at the sky, looking at the sun, looking at the moon and stars, and trying to understand. Then they found patterns. Then sun and moon become the natural clocks for them. And that was the beginning of the civilization, and that was the beginning of the Jyotish also. So Jyotish and the civilization both emerged, both came together, in fact. And the Jyotish, astrology, got high reputation in the society, high respect in the society, everyone respecting that one. But in 15th century, Copernicus stood up. He came and he declared, he said very strongly, stop the sun and move the earth. That was a heliocentric theory. He proposed heliocentric theory. All the astrological consideration in the very beginning, in the ancient time, when observer is sitting on the earth and looking at the sky, looking at the celestial, considering earth stationary and everything revolving around earth, that was the geocentric frame of reference. And all the astrological principles working on the geocentric frame of reference only, and checking the effects of planets on the human being from that frame of reference. So the shift of frame of reference, that was the first death nail for astrology being science. The mistrust started. Although we know today, frame of reference is nothing to do with those observations, but I'm talking about like in the very beginning, 15th century. And one phenomenon like the retrogression in the astrology, that is also impacting at that time. We know retrogression is the apparent backward movement of the planets, and luminaries never retrograde, and nodes always in retrogression motion. But the other five main planets, starting from Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, they sometimes retrograde, sometimes de-retrograde. So in astrology, we are taking care retrogression very seriously. Around retrogression and de-retrogression, especially I picked up like a Saturn and Jupiter, but other planets also, it holds good. Native experience the occurrence of the decisive things which had been dragging without end before and during this period. So the effect of retrograde planets taken care here. So in retrogression, we know the distance between the retrograde planet and the Earth is very close, the shortest. And for the evaluation of the effect of retrograde planets on people on the Earth, astrology is applying the Chesta bulb. We got a system. So it doesn't matter whether frame of reference is heliocentric or geocentric, but that concept is also, that thing is also coming. 17th century, one of the greatest brain, Kepler. Kepler came up with a revolutionary law of planetary motion, impactful laws. The first law of orbit. The orbits are ellipse. And the law of area, the second law, planets are sweeping equal area in equal time. And then through the third planetary motion, law of planetary motion, Kepler gave a beautiful revolutionary equation. T square is directly proportional to AQ, where T is the time to complete one orbit by the planet, and A is the semi-major axis. So that mathematical equation, that is the basis of all the algorithm developed in the astrophysical and the astrological programs. And even the computer programs, most of the horoscopes, they are taking that heliocentric positions and then employing the corrections and getting the geocentric positions. So it happened. Kepler formulated that one, as I said, in 17th century. Whatever astronomical data he received from his mentor, from his employer, from his guide, Tycho Brahe. But this work endorsed the Copernicus heliocentric theory with the accurate calculations. So the heliocentric theory got the more predominance. Thereafter, the skepticism towards astrology grew as science favored empirical and rigorous method, leading to its decline to be a science. Although it's very interesting to inform, in the latter stage of his life, Kepler even himself practiced astrology. Even himself, he practiced astrology, considering the foundational science which is behind his laws, planetary laws. After coming up to that level, I'm just taking you to some flashback, because considering finding answers in the classical Newtonian physics, if we got something there. Newton proposed planets are held together in the orbit. They are in the dynamic equilibrium because the centripetal force and the centrifugal force are balancing each other. And he provided gravitational law equation, F is equal to G, gravitational constant, and M1 into M2, mass of first planet and mass of second planet, the product, and divided by the distance squared. It means he realized that mass attract each other. So that gave a hope of light in the astrological community. that through Newton's theory of gravitation, hope emerged so that we could explain the effect of planets on the life of human being. Because if we have to explain astrology scientifically, so we need to explain how the planetary disturbances affecting the human life. But quick setback came in, because I can give you a case like consider a 70-kilo weight native, a person. If you calculate the ratio of mass of the person to that of the earth, that ratio, that will come up 1.17 into 10 to the power minus 23. Insignificant, very insignificant. It means even a moving train, that is exerting more effect on the on that person standing at a distance of 100 meters from the railway track than any planet. So it means through this Newtonian gravitational theory, we are not able to fully explain astrology. Astrology is not yet gaining a status of science yet. So let's come to Einstein. Let's come to Einstein. So whatever Newton gave us through gravitational theory, most of the astrophysical calculations can be derived, mainly the forces we can calculate. But the Mercury is doing a very abnormal drama. Mercury posed a problem. Einstein came up to solve this Mercurian dilemma, because what is happening with the Mercury continuously changing its orbit around the sun due to enormous gravitational force of sun on it. If you try to understand this phenomenon through Newtonian mechanics, through his gravitational theory, that is failed to explain that one. For that one, Einstein came up with his general theory of relativity. General theory of relativity, he conceived an idea and said bodies of huge masses like stars, black holes, planets, they distort the space-time continuum around them. And it is happening with the Mercury because Mercury's orbital behavior, by describing the space around the sun as distorted like a funnel, that distortion like a funnel, and Mercury is falling in that. Mercury follows an elliptical path with its orbit gradually shifting due to the curvature in space-time. So Einstein explained that one very beautifully, that dilemma, Mercurian dilemma. But still, we don't have any force, any agency through Einsteinian physics also can explain the planetary disturbances, how that is traveling up to the molecular level, up to the DNA level. That's the problem, still problem existing. And it's very difficult to say astrology as a science yet. So basically the concept of gravity, I just picked up two geniuses, Einstein and Newton. So Einstein explained the cause and Newton explained the effect, basically. So we got several time-tested combinations in classics, in astrological classics. Through the empirical correlations, though they are not rigorously and statistically tested. That is the requirement of the research, that is the framework. And astrologers, astrological community, they never came together till today to show the world a single predictable astrological methods. Astrologers didn't further attempt to find any scientific basis. I'm very happy. We are trying, this generation of astrologers, we are trying to find out that one. And we are very boldly saying this to the world. And we are proving how astrology is going to be science. It is a science itself. And since it is happening, it's all happening, astrologers didn't further attempt to find any scientific basis. They are just in their own world. The physicists, astronomers, they maintain that astrology is not a science. Felt satisfied that astrology could never be considered as science at any point of time. And astronomers are saying like that astrology is a superstition of the astronomy. That is their misconception. So at this point, astrologers should be condemned, not this great divine science. So we understand this up to here. What are the allegations from ill-informed scientific communities not considering astrology as a science, labeling astrology as a pseudoscience? Now I'm going to explain you the scientific temperament inbuilt in astrology and how can astrology be explained scientifically in this chapter 2 of this lecture. Astrology is a science. So let us try to understand the human life, product of chances. So human lives are the product of chances, mostly governed by the genetic makeup, planetary influences, genetic makeup of the individual and environmental factor wherein native grows and resides. We consider as an astrologer any native, any individual as a space-time entity. The chart is a native space-time entity for us. And astrology is a science where any individual is described as a multi-dimensional characteristics. Multi-dimension, some of the dimensions are visible and some of the hidden dimensions. Likewise, in the unified field theory and its related string theory, that is also contemplating on the many dimensions, 10 to 32 dimensions. With the 4 dimensions, we know 3 for the space and 1 is time, the 4 dimension, but other remaining are probable hidden dimensions. So from the hidden dimension to the visible dimension, manifestation is, this drama is happening. Mahaguru Maharshi Parashara, in the very first chapter of Brihat Parashara Horasas, he explained that one to Maitre, his beloved student, in a coded format, Srishti Krama Kathana Adhyaya. I did a review article on that one that was also published. So let's come and understand the planetary influences and the genetics. That will give the scientific basis, the scientific temperament in this divine super science. Any individual's characteristics that is coming from the genetic makeup, that research in biology, science, that is also accepting that one. And that genetic makeup is influenced by the planetary combinations that guide gene expression. So planetary progressions may activate or may suppress the genes, shaping the traits and influencing changes over the time. So that the manifestation, how manifestation is working. If you understand the manifestation, the process of manifestation, then only you can be a real Daivagya. Mahaguru Maharshi Parashara said as close as a Daivagya. You can see the divine will. You can understand the Kal Chakra, the wheel of time, how Kal is unfolding the events. And the retrogression and gravity. So we know the gravity depends on mass and distance. Newton very beautifully explained that one. Force is directly proportional to mass and inversely proportional to the square of distance. Yet in astrology, the influence of planets seems like it's even consistent regardless of this factor. It seems like. But the distance factor, how beautifully taken care, that is reflected through the retrograde motion, additional chestable we are adding. We got so many systems, Sadvala system and all. Aspast Baladhyay, our Pravartak did that one. And the planetary control as a function of time, that is also an endorsement of the scientific temperament in astrology. Because astrology, the Jyotish, view humans as a space-time entity, reflecting both the physical traits and time. So there is a timeline, and the events are just coming in, manifestation. So there is no accident at all. It's all pattern, cosmic pattern is there. Being an astrologer, you need to understand that pattern. The patterns are mathematical because mathematics is the language of God, as Galileo said. I picked up that one, the Jupiter and Saturn dual transit. That was the key in the predicting events, linking planetary movements to the astrology's space-time dimensions. So these are the scientific temperament here. And think about the geodic science. I'm just taking you, let's come with me to the geodic belt in the celestial sphere, where the cosmic energies are there. Contemplate on that one. So in astrology, the stationary stars, they are defining the geodic boundaries, the 12 geodic signs we have. And the universe is filled with the cosmic energies, influences signs, reflecting variations in energy, the different energy bands, along with the ecliptic path that followed by the planets. So planets are harnessing those energies and then throwing those energies on the genetic makeup of the native. And that influence is coming in. So this pattern, how mathematically, in a systematic manner, is working. And the very definition of science is the study of systematic fact. So if you systematically study a fact, so here, how systematic our science is, this astrology is. And the planet significance. Think about like a principle of superposition, how working in how scientifically it is working here in astrology. Any planets ruling one or two more houses, like luminaries are owning one house, and the other 5 main planets are owning 2 houses, we know, and nodes got no houses in Parashara system. So if you put a planet in any other house, then the traits of dispositor is coming in. So how can traits of dispositor is defined, explained, if astrology has no basis? So how can we explain these interactions? If we are thinking about only gravity, then gravity is only talking about the attraction and repulsion. But what about these detailed influences? Because our acharyas, our sages, they contemplated and they go up to the next level, the field theory. And that sophisticated scientific basis is inbuilt, integrated in this divine science of Jyotish. So that is one of the endorsement, astrology being a science. Think about Rahu and Ketu in Vedic Jyotish, Vedic astrology, the shadow planets. They are basically mathematically calculated sensitive points only, non-physical. Rahu and Ketu, moons intersecting orbit. We know that one. Point with the earth plane. But we are giving a lot of importance, a lot of significance to those sensitive mathematically calculated points. If astrology isn't a scientific, why do these non-physical nodes hold such importance? These are the questions that is indicating the scientific background in this divine science. And the next endorsement is coming from the heredity and the planetary influence. On this occasion, I'm recalling one of the greatest French astrologer, Michael Gacquelin, and his extensive research, more than 30 years. under the scientific scrutiny, he found notable similarities in the planetary combinations and positions between the parents and children's horoscope. He found that hereditary, that genetic traces through astrology. It means planetary influence is on genetic material. That is itself a proof, the scientific proof of astrology being a science. And solar wind disturbances and astrology. Dr. Percy Seymour, one of the great researchers, proposed planetary gravitational forces disturb the sun's magnetic field and affecting the solar winds that impart a fetus at birth through its genetic makeup. Wonderful. Now the planetary disturbances is coming up to the DNA level, up to the molecular level, what we wanted. While this theory supports astrology, no doubt about it, but it doesn't fully explain the influence of the background sky on the planetary characteristics. Because more research is required. This science is always calling for research. Do research. But through this experiment, through this paper, Dr. Percy Seymour endorsed that one, supports astrology being a science, and the superposition of the transit planetary combinations and the natal planetary positions, that interaction. So astrology predict, we know, by comparing the current planetary positions with those at birth, suggesting that human space-time is linked to the planetary interactions. So if astrology lacks a scientific basis, so how these interactions can be explained? Why would present planetary position influence the natal one? That's a question. And that question is giving answer. Astrology is a science. That's why it is happening. In the end of this chapter, I'm giving like a experiment, short experiment to a non-believer who is saying it's a pseudoscience. Because observation is one of the method of finding knowledge. In modern education system also, and in our Vedantas, in our Sanatan system also, IKS, especially Indian knowledge system. So observation is one of the tools. And through observation, you can find the knowledge. What Newton did, like apple fell down, that was the observation only. So on the same line, I'm inviting any non-believer, he can test himself when his moon is transiting Earth from the natal moon, that we call Chandrastama or Astam Chandra. In this time, the honest and impartial observation that non-believer should do, one might experience tension, worries, unpleasant happenings, unnecessary obstructions, depression, restlessness, temporary illness, humiliations, wasteful expenditures, suicidal tendencies, trouble in travel, etc. If you are observing these things, then you will find the scientific temperament in it. And the second experiment is a long one, the Sarasati, when the Saturn is transiting 12th house from the natal moon and on the natal moon, and then the next house, the 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5, 7.5 year, the Sarasati, we call it is in Hindi, Sanskrit. In that period also, observation can be made sincerely. One can experience mental agony, wasteful expenses, a struggle against odds, very little progress, setback in new venture, diseases, losses, legal battles, depressed outlook, additional responsibility are coming, difficult circumstances, fruitless travels, humiliations, acquisitions, but this period is good for learning and personality development. So these are the experience based on the observation, and observation is the tool accepted by the scientific community also. So if it is happening, so there is a scientific temperament in astrology, and astrology is a science. Perception of the society is changing now, like ancient time, best of the best brains are only attracted towards this very vast ocean of knowledge, astrology. Now this is again happening. Intellectuals are coming, this science is attracting them, perception is changing. Mahaguru Maharshi Parashar said one of the qualification of the astrologer is dhimanaha. So only the buddhiman, the intellectual people can be attracted towards this science, and perception change. I would like of the society. I started with the what was the perception, labeling the pseudo science label, and now the perception changed in the society, and slowly it is changing. I'm quoting J.P. Morgan. Once he said, "Millennials don't use astrology. Millennials don't use astrology. Millennials do." And Albert Einstein, the greatest of the great mind, he said, astrology is a science in itself and contains an illuminating body of knowledge. It taught me many things, and I am greatly indebted to it. And Hippocrates, he go one step further. Even he challenged a physician without a knowledge of astrology has no right to call himself a physician. So on this note, in the end of this chapter, we are fully confident it is being proved astrology is a science. Astrology is a pure science. Even I go more further, astrology is a super science. But astrology is a science that's being proved. Now up to what level? What level we go? Up to classical Newtonian level, Newtonian mechanics, or the Einsteinian mechanics, or go more further, let us meet the Max Planck and the Heisenberg to so that understand the astrological happenings. In Maharshi Parasar's word, that's a Srishti Krama Kathana Adhyaya. What he was talking about, he invoked that one, the Avyaktatma Vishnu, and very in a very much coded form, he explained the observer effect, in fact. So I'm with you guys. I'm just going to investigate, is astrology is a science of the quantum world in this chapter. Let's come. Let's come. Think about humans. Think about the humans. Humans are molecular assemblies shaped by evolution, long process of the evolution, 3.5 billion years. And the classical physics may not fully explain astrology, because the reason is, on the one side, astrological paradigm, one side there is a massive planets, huge planets are there. And on the other side, tiny human beings, tiny natives are there. So for such a vastness, classical physics failed to explain that one. That was the limitation of the classical physics. That is not the limitation of this divine ancient science, astrology. Who can help us? That's why we are going to get answer through the quantum mechanics. Maybe quantum mechanics help us, and quantum mechanics really offering answer to these complex interactions. That's why I'm coming with a new term, quantum astrology, today. So before going into, let's understand the scientific concepts in astrology. Human beings are multidimensional entities, we know, with a visible and the hidden dimensions. And individuals, each individuals even, they ascribed a unique time scale, distinct to other individuals. That uniqueness is there. Is similar on the line of the Pauli's exclusion principle, where he was talking about the uniqueness. Even he said even two electrons are not identical fully. So on the same line, this divine science is talking. On the same quantum pattern, this divine science is talking. And the genetic makeup of the individual is in resonance with the planet representing to the same characteristics. The influence of the planet is coming into the life so scientifically. And the nodes, moon nodes, north and south nodes, they are playing very pivotal role, starting from the distraction and obstruction, starting from the distraction and obstruction to chaos, to opportunities, to new paths, dimensions. So basically, these nodes are running the show. Ketu is cutting the cord and Rahu is just feeling there. So life of the native is revolving around that axis, RK axis, Rahu Ketu axis. That's indicating some manifestation at the quantum level. And astrology indicates the probability of an event. It's a science of probability. Probability is a accepted branch in the science, in mathematics and physics also. So astrology likewise indicates the probability of the event occurring around a particular period. It's not harm to accept that one. No astrologer can give the exact date and time of an event occurring. We are just dealing with the inherent probabilistic factor in this divine science. Because it's all about the blessings. It's a grace land. So many variables are working at the same time. Mahaguru Maharshi Parashar in Brihat Parashar Horasas and Mantreswar Maharaj in Phal Deepika, he has also prescribed the statement for the Phal Kathanadhikari on the same line, how the grace is working. That's why it's not harm to accept that one. But we can reach up to the more accuracy through applying techniques subject to blessings. So astrology predicts past, present, and future through planetary positions, because planetary positions we know mathematically. Planetary positions can be determined accurately any date, any time. We got ephemeris or softwares are available. So past, present, and future planetary positions are employed to predict the same. That's very normal. So in astrology, not only present dictates the future, but future also dictates the present. Because if dual transit is being happening at that time, that is also linking with the present one. So the event in one's life is not only dictated by the present planetary positions in the natal chart, but also by the future planetary combinations, the transit one, that will happen at a later date based on the progression of the Jupiter and Saturn. I focus more on these big two giants with respect to the natal horoscope. That is giving the similar flavor like in quantum physics also. Not only present dictates the future, but future also dictates the present. So I'm just drawing the similarities, the parallels between two schools and merging them. The description of individual and events occurring in his life or her life could be inferred from the horoscope of a very closely related people, like parents, wife, children, siblings, close friends. So it is showing the interconnectedness of the destinies. It's talking about the strings are connected. And if you are disturbing one string, that disturbance is on the whole here and there. And it's a whole grand design how it is being operated. It's this divine science is talking in the same language of the string theory or the superstring theory. So next thing is in astrology background about us is treated with a lot of importance and care. I'm talking about the background universe, the energies. So the role of planets like lordship, friendship, enmities, debilitation, exaltation. I'm talking about the planetary avasthas. And the morphological and the behavioral characteristics are always expressed with respect to the background universe. The superimposition, the principle of superimposition, that scientific principle is integrated in it. Now, one of the most important endorsement is coming in. And why I'm calling, it's like a quantum astrology today. That is the loop quantum gravity. Scientists have integrated three fundamental forces. We know there are four fundamental forces in the nature: strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, electromagnetic force, and the gravitational force. And that is the desire of the scientist. I'm being an engineer. I have also a lot of interest in theoretical physics. So that was desire of even Einstein also to come up with a one framework so that all the fundamental forces are being integrated there. They got succeed up to integrating the three forces, but gravity is the problem. Gravity remains separate. It's very hard to integrate that one. That's why they came up with a new force, the quantum gravity, in order to unify all four forces. So quantum gravity is being proposed as an alternate to the gravity, because we are looking for something which can explain how the planetary disturbance is traveling up to the molecular level, so that we could explain astrology scientifically. And quantum mechanics is helping us today. But the basic main objective of this consideration, all about the quantum gravity, is to integrate the Einstein's general and special theory of relativity into the quantum mechanics. Because a space-time continuum doesn't align with the quantum mechanics basically, and leading to proposals like quantum gravity or loop quantum gravity basically. So in this theory, a space is visualized as a loop, tiny loops, and that tiny loop dedicated to Max Planck. So the length is a Planck length. It's very tiny. One length is 1.16 into 10 to the power minus 35 meter. And that can compress and expand. In our Shastras, I belong to the Saivite Parampara. So Unmes and Nimes, when Lord Shiva is opening eyes and closing eyes, Unmes and Nimes, then the Srishti is happening and Srishti is dissolving. On the same line here, that can compress and expand, that potentially correlating the planetary influences to the DNA molecules. That's amazing. That concept is amazing. Now the space-time continuum, space-time distortion I'm talking in astrology. Einstein theory of gravity, we know up to this level, depicts massive objects like black hole, stars, planets. They are distorting the space-time continuum. And they are distorting the space-time continuum, and thereafter attracting the other bodies to fall into the hole. That is happening, to fall into the hole. Through Newtonian mechanics, we are applying and we are measuring that distortion. That's a mathematical drama. So Einstein's relativity focuses on the massive bodies like Sun and doesn't directly address the planetary motion's impact on space and time. So if planetary movements cause space-time disturbances, it could provide a scientific basis for astrological influences. Through relativity itself does not explain this connection. So we need something else. Before going there, let's try to understand the time lag factor. That concept is also endorsing astrology being a science of the quantum world. So scientists have come to realize that gravity is the manifestation of the time distortion, not a space distortion in the space-time continuum scenario. So the motion of a planet causes a disturbance in the space-time matrix. That we know. And that is resulting a time lag before this effect is felt on Earth. How the manifestation is happening. So because the event is, we are going to predict the event. So we need to understand the manifestation, the process of manifestation. That's why I'm saying sometimes Srishti Kram Kathana Adhyaya, that is the most important and most neglected chapter. So let's come here. So there are two key time lags basically. One between the Earth and the planets, and another between the cosmic space and the Earth. Astrology examines how cosmic influences and the planetary movements affect genetic material at the molecular level, connecting these forces through a time lag matrix. So through this quantum mechanical theory, we are now at the level of the molecule from the planetary disturbances. Now, quantum entanglement, that is also supporting astrology being a science of the quantum world. We know that this phenomenon, quantum entanglement, very famous. So this is a phenomenon, very briefly, where two or more particles become interconnected, whether they are physically interconnected or not, but they are interconnected, such that the state of one instantaneously influences the state of the other, regardless of the distance. Saturn is being direct from the retrograde, far, far away in the celestial. Native is on the earth. Whenever I say natives, I'm talking about that space-time entity, because that natal planetary combinations are interacting and something happening in his life. That is the entanglement. So the horoscope of individuals, now come to next point. The horoscopes of individuals closely associated with the native exhibit interconnected destinies in terms of both personal characteristics and life events, suggesting a potential connection between the astrology and the quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement also suggests that life events are influenced not only by present planetary positions in the natal chart, but also by the future planetary combinations, indicating that not only present dictates the future, but future also dictates the present in astrology, like quantum mechanics. Now both are same, the concept, philosophy is same. Philosophy is same. If the scientific community is accepting quantum mechanics as a science, a respected science, then they have to accept astrology as a respective science. And these influences are not possible without quantum entanglement, imparting some sort of memory in these aspects on our genetic material to operate throughout one's life. That's very beautiful. How this memory is being stored at the molecular level and keep interacting with the transit of the planets. And then manifestation is happening through the hidden and the visual dimensions. In Gita also Bhagavan indicated Drishyana, Drishya dimensions. Now let's discuss about the string theory and interconnectedness. I did one paper on this string theory, how string theory is integrated in astrology. So the unified field theory, scientists propose a new theory like strings, superstrings, brain, M theories. The only objective is unify gravity into the unified field theory within one framework, unifying all the four fundamental interactions. So this theory proposed one dimensional Planck length particles are distributed throughout the Einsteinian space-time continuum. And they involve particle called graviton, the most important word for today, the graviton. And this graviton enable gravitational effects to operate over vast distances, extending into the quantum world. That graviton got the ability to carry the planetary disturbances from the celestial to the molecular level at DNA level. So planets with their massive bodies and rapid movements can affect a matrix of strings, superstrings, brains, and M theory, causing disturbances. How they interconnected. We are celestial dust, and this cosmos is one. That is the real Advait. So we all connected. We are one. The strings, we need to understand the manifestation. And string theory is talking in the same line. When these disturbances travel at the speed of light, they can impact molecular level through graviton-like particles. Since the genes represent several morphological and physiological characteristics, these theories could, through graviton-like particles, interact with DNA molecules, which further manifest as visible and hidden dimensions of astrology. Wonderful. It's very easy to understand now. Once you accept this graviton. Now, let's talk about dark energy, the fifth force, and the dark matter, because you guys, astrologers are devagyas looking at the sky, looking at the universe. And in astrology, definitely involves a force. You need agency. You need an agent who can carry the disturbances. You need a force. And planets, they can be envisaged to serve as mediators. They are mediators only between the macroscopic universe and the microscopic genetic material of DNA. They are the mediators. In Jatak Chandrika, our acharyas are saying about this one, the reflection is there. I would like to quote that one. Halani grahacharena suchayanti manisinaha kovakta tartamyasya tamekam veda sambhina. So these grahas, these planets, they are informing the manisis, informing the devagyas, astrologers only. But what will really happen, only the creator knows, Param Shiv. So now, come here. So universe is full of dark matters and dark energies. Planets are traveling because they have to travel. They are wanderers, celestial wanderers. So planets are traveling across the ecliptic and harnessing the dark energy, the different energy bands of it. Who knows? Only the creator knows. But those planets are giving suchana giving information to Manisis only, to astrologers only. That's why astrologers got little bit vision, more vision than ordinary worldly people. And a spiritual person can be astrologer, and a spiritual person can only be astrologer. So this dark energy, depending on the planetary masses, so how much energy that will harness, their revolution, their velocities, rotational velocities, and the revolution velocities, and other like a distance from the Earth or other astronomical data. They are harnessing the energies and throwing that energy. They are the interface between the microscopic universe and the microscopic genetic material. And the agent is, we got an agent, graviton. Graviton is carrying that disturbances and taking that one up to the molecular DNA level. And then the memory is being inbuilt there. Registration is happening for throughout the life of the native. And the interaction with the natal planetary combinations and the transitory planetary combination will keep happening, and manifestation is continuously being done. The Kal chakra is moving, and those who understand the Kal is only astrologer. So the astrology can only be explained by a probable force. I call it astrological force, or you call it life force. So you need a force, one force. Here, graviton from the quantum mechanics that can be like a helpful. So is it possible? I'm throwing a question. Is it possible that dark matter and dark energy are associated with ever mentioned astrological life forms? Need to contemplate. Now I'm talking about the junk genes and the memory of planetary influences. That's very important concept here. Again, remembering the great French astrologer Michael Gauquelin, he pointed out similarities in horoscope of parents, grandparents, children's, siblings. So such similarities cannot arise without planetary influences on the genetic makeup of an individual. That is for sure, and very easy to understand. Now, it's very surprising what scientists found, the biologists. They detected a huge amount of genetic sequences in human genome, which do not make up any sense. And they term that one like a junk gene. They're calling that that's junk gene. That's a junk. But it's still not known why the evolutionary process of more than 3.5 billion years, such a long process, has left out so much of important unwanted genetic material. If it's unwanted, then that evolution process might wipe out that one. But that process is keeping that one junk gene. So something there. Maybe it is possible that the interaction between the genetic material and the planets probably uses genetic sequences in the junk gene portion to store information of planetary disturbances, starting with the birth of a native and interacting with the current planetary disturbances throughout the individual's life. So that is the heredity effects in astrology. That is also showing astrology being science of the quantum world. Now, the lensing effect. Lensing effect in the astrology. Think about the lunar nodes. They're acting like a lens. Both the nodes, north and south nodes, they can be visualized. You can visualize them as the focal points of the lens-like behavior of both Earth and Moon. So Moon mostly could function to focus the influence of the planets and background cosmos on Earth. moon is the seed of everything, Mantreshwar Maharaj said. So how moon is behaving. So here, the influence of the material of the universe and planets could be strings, superstrings, brain, gravitons, dark energy. So all the quantum mechanical flavor is coming in here when we are thinking, contemplating lensing effect in astrology. So astrology is a science of quantum world. So now, if we apply astrology, if we think astrology in the light of quantum mechanics, then quantum mechanics got all the principles to explain astrology scientifically, pure scientifically. Now, in this last chapter, we are ready to get into quantum superposition and the potential realities in astrological predictions. Once in the end of the third chapter, we accepted astrology as a quantum astrology. Now we can go into the quantum superposition. This is the right time to go. So I just take you up to here. So in this chapter, we'll check together how to envisage inherent probabilistic factor in astrology and how to get into the potential realities through quantum superposition. So let's come. There is inherent probabilistic factors in astrology. Astrology basically deals with the inherent uncertainty, which only quantum gravity and string brain M theories can explain. They are only able to explain that one. Now remembering Heisenberg, the father of quantum mechanics. So Heisenberg, his uncertainty principle, he said also the similar thing like it is impossible to simultaneously know both the exact position and momentum of a particle with absolute precision. If you try to get accurately one, you miss the other, error will come. There is an inherent probabilistic factor in astrology also, which resembles the probability of the quantum mechanics. So a good astrologer should base his or her predictions considering not only the planetary positions. You are just getting the planetary position and start giving Falades. No. But the genetic factors and the environmental factors need to be considered. Any prediction based on just planetary position alone will not be accurate. Planetary influences should be resonance with the gene responsible for the genetic characteristics, as well as the planet which represent them. I'm giving more weightage to the localization. When Mahaguru Maharshi Parashara said like a qualification of the astrologer, then he talked about these qualifications. You should know the Desh Kala Patra. So like I'm just taking one case, very small case, like if these two, genetic and environmental factor, do not operate, for example, hypothetically, and you are checking only the planetary positions. So let us suppose several people born on 2nd October 1869 would have become Mahatma Gandhi. Everybody become Mahatma Gandhi? No. Answer is big no. So let's talk about this theory, birthday paradox. So this birthday paradox is a probability theory that explains the probability of two people sharing the same birthday grows with the number of possible pairing. I'm not making it very complicated. So theoretically, you understand the chances of two people having same birthday are 1 in 365. I'm making it more simple. like 0.274% of any population. They have same birthday. Same birthday means planetary combinations are similar. Let's do one small case study. Take the world's population like 8 billion. It's around 8 billion. Therefore, the number of horoscope, if we apply the birthday paradox theory, so the number of horoscope with a similar planetary combination that will come, if you do the simple this math, 21.92 million. If you are more concerned about the same ascendant, then divide it by 12. It's approx 183K. Now think, will they experience the same lives and times? The answer is big no. Big no. It means there are significant amount of variations in the lives, even if born under the identical planetary combinations, including the ascendant, because any prediction based on the individual horoscope, if you consider only planetary combinations, only planetary combinations, would be accurate only a maximum up to the extent of 60% or so. Because the two important factors, most important factors, are to be considered to make an accurate predictions. And these are the environmental and genetic factors. So you have to impose that one. In this quantum astrology, you have to do this quantum superposition. Then you will reach up to the more accuracy. If the horoscope, the planetary combination could predict 60%, then the two factors, genetic and environmental factor, would contribute remaining 40% of the prediction. So that will add teeth to your phalades, to your predictions. And variations and failure in the predictions are mainly due to mismatch. It's very careful. Mismatch in resonance between planetary position and the genetic constitution coupled with the environmental effects. Although we should not forget the Falkathan Adhikari statement provided by our Pravartak, our 18th Pravartak, greatest of the great, Mahaguru Maharshi Parashara, what is said, those qualifications also essential for any astrologer to call himself astrologer, Falkathan Adhikari. I'm just reminding that one. Ganitesu pravino yaha sarvasastre kritisramaha न्यायविदा बुद्धिमान देश दिक् कालज्ञो जितेन्द्रियः उहापोहा पटुर्होरा अस्कंदा श्रवण सम्मतः मैत्रे सत्यताम याति तस्य वाक्यम न संशयः. He's saying, hey Maitre, if any astrologer got these qualifications, whatever he will do the Falades, that will be the truthful, no sansaya, no doubt about it. And the second most important is Hora Askanda Sravana Sammataha. He is coming from a parampara. He got this gyan from a parampara. That's very important. And other qualifications are also important. When we are doing these quantum superpositions, basing our reflections on the planetary combinations and the environmental and the genetic factors, then we will reach up to the more accurate predictions. So astrology is basically super science. It's a science of a mankind. It's a science for whole mankind. It's nothing to do with the one localized locations. It's a Vedic astrology. It's for the whole world. But it's very sad on the name of astrology. Lots of superstitions, fake remedies, and other associated practices being carried out by astrological culprits, I would say, to create fear and insecurity in the mind of the people. Because the risk of this shastra is astrology can create fear. That's the problem. So we need to do the positive counseling in a very balanced way, not give false hope and not give negativity. So that's very risky practice. That's very responsible practice. And I would say astrology has nothing to do with these emotional aspects. It's a science, it's a systematic knowledge of facts based on the empirical principles provided by our parampara. So from this platform, I would like to invite greatest of the greatest mind of the present era, physicists, microbiologists, anthropologists, astrologers should come together to explain astrology mathematically, physically, genetically, in order to harness the enormous potential of astrology for human race. All come together. Together we can, and together only we can, as our Rig Veda said about the togetherness. Sangachyam sangvadyam sano mananasi janatam deva bhavam yatha purve sangyajanana upasate. So this is all about quantum astrology and quantum superpositions. In the end, I will pray for you with the Santi mantra and pray for whole world. Then I will take questions. Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritam gamaya. Om Santi Santi Santi. Jai Gurudev. Har Har Mahadev. Thank you.
Abhishek ji, thank you so much. You have done some groundbreaking work in drawing the parallels between Jyotish and quantum theories, and I just want to thank you because it takes a lot of courage.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you for your courage, brother.
It's all about the blessings of Gurudev, my Guru, and blessings of Lord Sri Mahadev.
I'll just read you some comments, and if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Just wow, awesome work. This is amazing. Love this. Awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate the scientific approach. Absolutely remarkable. Love your Lord voice. Thank you for this amazing lecture. Oh, here we have a question. Beautiful and inspiring presentation. As you mentioned, with Jyotish having a 60% predictability and 40% can be attributed to genetic and environmental factors, would that be able to attributed to Ayurveda and Prakriti as genetic factor and Vastu as well as aspects of Vikriti to environmental factors, allowing the full integration of these Vedic sciences to have their capacity to shed light on the realm of human existence?
It's a very beautiful question. Thank you very much. I got a similar question in my interview on radio in Sydney 98.5 FM. Basically, our approach to astrology is in the isolation. It's a Vedang, it's a sixth Vedanga. So our parampara is starting with the Vedas, so 4 Vedas and 6 Vedangas, and it's a sixth one, the top of the top Vedanga. So, but we lost our structure of the study and we are just jumping on the top. So we are jumping on the top. That's the problem because astrological knowledge is staggered even in Puranas also. In Narad Puran, in Shiv Puran, in Skand Puran, everywhere you can get the astrological knowledge. So the integration of the Vastu, integration of the Ayurveda, integration of the other things is essential That's why Mahaguru Maharshi Parasar gave the term Uha Poho Patu. An astrologer has to be Uha Poho Patu. That is the qualification. So you have to see one event through different angles. Just like how photographer is taking photo from this angle, that angle, that angle, then you check, then real things will come up. So no doubt about it, you have to integrate everything, and then that the clear picture will come up. Astrology is the science of sciences. It's the art of arts. It's a great science. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We do have some questions. Has you or anyone done research on the junk genes and the transits of Graha?
At IVRC, we are doing that paper is in the process. We are doing that one because my co-founder, she is a biologist, she's a researcher, and we are just working on the junk gene, how junk gene is impacting the interaction is happening. So we did 3 papers right now related to the quantum mechanics, and I will definitely share with you. Yeah. Recently, once published.
Thank you, Abhishek. Also, what aspects of life would you recommend to be pursued for further research to align to modern scientific validity?
It's very sometimes I feel it's very unfortunate why this great divine science needs validation, but that is our that is order of my this is guru agya, my gurudev. Intellectuals should not be keep quiet. You should go and you should tell the world science is here. So quantum mechanics can help us, and other like this biology, microbiology. So the marriage of the astrology, quantum mechanics can give, you know, and foundation and give direction towards astrological research, what we are doing at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Anybody? That's all, Abhishek ji. Thank you so much.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Wow. So this is the end of the Parashara conference of 2024. For those of you that are still here right now, I want to say great job. You've made it to the last lecture and you've enjoyed a scientific approach to Jyotish. And this has been an incredible year. Now, of course, we'll be in August in Sedona and back in November at the Parashara Virtual Conference, and I'm sure Abhishek will be presenting again next year. But this is a sad moment because whenever I close this video, that means the conference is over till next year. So I think I will conclude with my own version of a Navagraha Puja. So I will do a chant to all 9 planets to close this out for all the people that made it this far. Thank you for attending the conference. Dabakasumma sankasham kashapayam mahadutim tamorim sarva papanganam pranatusmi davakaram. Dari sankatu sharabam kishiro dharna sambhavam namami sasinam somam sambor makuta bhushanam. Darani garbha sambhutam vidyukanti samaprabham kumaram shakti hastam cha tamangalayam pranamamyaham. Palaspuspa sankasham takara grahamastakam raudram raudratmikam goram tam ketu pranamamyaham. Priyangu kalaka shamam rupenya pratimam buram samyam samyaguna patam tamburam pranamamyaham. Devanam cha risnam cha gurum kanchana shanibam Buri bhutam triloksham tam namami brahaspatim Om Himukunda Mrinalabam Daichanam Paramam Gurum Sarva Shastra Pavaktaram Bhagavam Pranamamyaham. Om Ardakayam Mahavyam Chandajicha Vimardinam Simhita Garbha Sambutam Tamrahu Pranamamyaham. Om Nilandana Samabhasham Ravi Putram Yamagrajam Chayamartanda Sambutam Tam Namami Shanaisarayam. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Ah, I still don't want to go. What can I say? All right. Well, I wish everyone a good night. Thank you all for attending the conference. I love you all so much. From the bottom of my heart, this is my deepest pleasure. And guess what? It's not the end because we'll be back next year. So until then, enjoy all the faculty members all over their professional websites and YouTube, and get to know these faculty members more because they have shared their heart and soul with you at this conference. They have shared their years of research. They have shared their dharma. They have shared their passion with you. So please, after this conference, go and see all of their research over the next year individually. Okay. Many blessings. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.